Join me within the Kingdom and Culture community. Hey guys, and welcome back to another edition of Kingdom and Culture podcast. I am so glad that you're with us today. I wore my workout gear because we're about to get our work in. I am so excited about this episode because today we are talking with my friend Nancy Monroe. Nancy, welcome to the.
That's why I'm here.
I love you too. Well, you are absolutely amazing, guys. If you are, first of all, today, let me just level set, guys. Today we're talking about food. Okay. I was literally having this conversation, Nancy, this week with someone, and they were like, yeah, when I'm anxious or when I'm busy, I don't eat. And I said, when I'm anxious and when I'm busy, I eat.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Nancy, you have a very, very extensive background in just life wellness. And I'm so excited to talk to you today about what it really looks like to have the right mindset around the food that we take, as well as our external bodies, which you do both phenomenally. You guys, this episode, stay tuned. You definitely got to stay tuned for this one. So, before we jump in, Nancy, are you ready to play our icebreaker?
Yes, totally ready.
All righty, let's do it. Okay. So, clock starts. What is the last place that you visited?
Denver, Colorado.
Okay, fun or work?
Fun with family, visiting family, and it was also work because I hate the cold.
Well said. I hate to be cold as well. All right. Who do you look up to the most?
Who do I look up to the most? I don't know how to pick one. My husband. Aww. You know what? He just fathers like I've never seen. And I think that it just always points me to the Lord, knowing that maybe sometimes you miss out on things when you're younger, but it's fully redeemed right before my eyes.
For sure. I love that. Okay. What was the name of your first pet?
My first pet was Noel. It was a toy poodle, a little black toy poodle, and it was born on Christmas Eve, hence why it's named Noel. Aww. And that was about a week before I was born. So I kind of grew up with it.
Wow, that's fun. Always kind of having the pet with you, and he was the same, Great. Love it. So do you have a junk food? And if so, what is your favorite junk food?
Pinot Noir.
Ooh.
Does that work?
Yes, that absolutely. Dessert for sure. Yeah, I love it. How would you describe yourself to a child?
How would I describe myself to a child? Disciplined, intentional, and tries really hard to have fun, even though it doesn't look like it.
You are like one of the funnest people I know. So I don't buy that for 1 minute. You are definitely fun. Okay. Name a pet peeve that you may have.
Pet peeve, it's just leaving stuff on the floor or on the stage, like just walking by something that clearly needs addressing.
Yes, that's one of mine too. It's like, why?
Like, was it easier to step over that, or would you prefer tripping over it? You just want to stare at it? We could just pick it up. Simple.
Just pick it up. Yeah,
pick it up.
Love it. All right. Who would you say is the funniest person you know?
Me. No, I'm just
Yes,
kidding.
you are, Nancy. Literally, so funny. I love it.
Okay, we'll stick with that.
Who would you say?
Is the funniest? I just feel like the funniest person I know is me with my friends, because
Yeah,
my friends they're who bring out the fun in me, and then I love laughing, and when they laugh, I laugh, and you're the
it's a
best
whole
at that.
thing.
Yeah, you're the
Yes,
best at
yes, I love that. Okay, favorite genre of music?
that. Probably like just some good worship,
Mm-hmm.
not like the praise, but more worship. I just love it.
I do too. I do too. Well, thank you, Nancy, for playing that. That is so fun. Just letting our audience get to know you more. Before we jump into our main topic, can you just share a little bit about yourself, your family, and how you got so passionate about this topic of health and wellness?
Okay, let's see, I'm Nancy Monroe. Have been married to Chad for going on 19 years this April. I have
Oh,
a 4 children. All their birthdays are in February, so they're all about to age up. And at that point, they'll be Maxwell 14, Peter 11, and our boy girl twins, Valerie and Samuel, they'll be 9. I homeschool all 4 of them, and that's pretty much me, outside of having my clients that I get to coach in the mornings. And I love that so much. It's the little piece of me that's still in the puzzle. I got passionate about health and wellness probably just because I didn't get a lot of that type of education growing up. I would say we had a pretty healthy lifestyle, but I always enjoyed being active. I was a cheerleader for many years, and once didn't have much nutrition training when I was younger, outside of, I remember my mom saying we needed a starch, a vegetable, and a protein on our plate.
right.
And I still think that that's got a bit of an old school thought. It might be the old school macronutrient makeup, but once I went to college, I end of high school, I started to just recognize there were certain foods that I felt better eating and other foods that I didn't.
Mhm.
And knew that my cheerleading was coming to an end, and I wanted to figure out how to still live a healthy lifestyle and do fitness. And so I would say I just started educating myself in college, and I probably got a little too religious about choices I made and went into some scary areas. And from there, I met the Lord, or really, I mean, he became my savior, or he had been my savior. He became my Lord. End of college, and I just said, Lord, how do we figure this nutrition thing out? Show me. I don't want to do the diet pills. I don't want to do the quick fix. I want to just be healthy from the inside out. So
Yeah.
since then, I've just done a lot of research on food and movement,
Yeah.
and have tried a lot of different things, and have found a lot of things that really work, and enjoy sharing that with other people.
I love it. I love it. And, it's so interesting that you mentioned how your journey has informed your knowledge base, and how, you've allowed yourself to partner really with the Lord in growing a healthier mindset and a healthier outside body, as a result of that. And can you talk a little bit just briefly on why would it start with the mind? Hey, friend, I wanted to quickly interrupt this podcast to say thank you. Thank you so much for listening. And it's my heart that Kingdom and Culture would be a community where you and your community can come and we can learn from each other and share best practices. So help me do that by mashing that subscribe button if you haven't already, and share this episode with 3 friends. Finally, if you can mash that like button on this episode, it helps us to get the word out about Kingdom and Culture. Now, back to the episode. Because, I mean, personally, I can speak to the fact that I have tried to do so many things to lose weight over my 40 years that, it's a conversation you and I have had before. It's just been, a struggle. And then there's the ups and the downs that I know a lot of people. Is that why it's important to kind of start with the mind and instead of starting with an external?
Yes. So I would say Holy Nancy, WHOLLY. I think that it's a mind, body, spirit that you have to take into account with health and nutrition and wellness, really. Starts with the mind. Yes, because I think that knowledge is power. I think that the more we know, the easier it is to put things into place. And that's one reason I love to share, is really just to educate, because I think that there's a lot of poor education out there, or there's a lot of people who just have no clue of what to do, because we've got marketing in our face with everything. And somebody might say, oh, this keto thing is going to work, so I'm going to buy everything at the grocery store that says keto. And it's like, well, if you just ate fruits, vegetables, and meats, or I guess more fats with your keto, you wouldn't have to buy anything that actually is labeled keto, but everybody just goes and buys all the prepackaged things because there's marketing towards it, and people are just trying to make money. They really don't care about your wellness. But so I think that it's just, how do I wrap my mind around all of the choices that I'm making on a daily basis? How do I wrap my mind around the fruit or effects of those choices that I made? Okay, well, I chose to eat this. Well, how did it actually make me feel? Let me really think through it. There's a book called The Yoga of Eating, which is a great book I recommend. And it's just really being mindful while you're eating, after you're eating, and saying, was that worth it? Or do I feel better actually not having it? And let me really sit here and be mindful right now, so that the next time I go to make that choice, it's either, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to find something different. Or I remember how that made me feel, and oh God, I remember I enjoyed the heck out of that thing. Let me do that again.
Right.
So, I think that it's just being mindful. And a lot of times that even means, what do we do as a society? We eat while we're watching TV. We eat while we're working. We eat while we're in the car on the go. We don't truly enjoy and partake in what's been provided for us.
Yeah.
And just taking a moment to be mindful and have I actually chewed my food, or did I just scarf it down and now I'm fed, but am I satisfied? So
Wow.
Lots of questions, lots of thoughts here.
All of those, such good questions. Let's get right into it. Nancy, you've really developed what you coach on, which is Holy Nancy's Psychology of Food. And so why don't you take us through that and kind of talk to what kind of mindset do we need to frame ourselves in as we try to get into a new perspective on health and wellness and food, like you said, body, mind, and spirit.
All right. So I have come up with a little document here, and just bullet point sharing, things like that. But I always start with 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body. And I mean, let me be the first to say that I don't do this perfectly, but it is something to continue to go back to and just say, am I really honoring God with my body right now? And am I really maintaining this temple that he's given me? And if I'm not maintaining it well, how can I make some choices differently to better rebuild and just get stronger? So these are questions that I ask before I have something that maybe I'm not certain of, or especially when you're in the beginning of this journey. So I would say that the more you ask yourself these questions, the easier it is to kind of do this without it taking so long. But again, back to mindfulness, is what I'm consuming serving me, or am I serving it? We don't want to be a slave to food. I think everybody's got their crack, whether it's a drug, it's alcohol, it's a food, it's sugar. Everybody has something that we know we're a bit of a slave to. And how do we find ourselves free from that? I heard someone say recently, our truest freedom will come from our deepest surrender. And so are there things that maybe I can surrender to the Lord? And that doesn't mean that I never have it again, but like, am I free when I'm consuming whatever it is I'm consuming, or am I a slave to it? Am I thinking about it? So there's another quote I heard someone say, freedom is when what I want to do and what I ought to do are the same thing. That's where freedom is. Not, oh, I really want to do this, but I know I shouldn't. But like, real freedom is when what I want to do and what I ought to do are the same thing. And again, that doesn't mean never, right? That doesn't mean I never do something. We can't make a religion of it. And that's again where the mindfulness and the spirit has to come into play. So, you know, for me, I think about what I'm eating throughout the day. I do some fasting, and, you know, that's a whole other topic. Live an intermittent fasting lifestyle, which has just been amazing for me. And some people love it and some people it doesn't work for. But I also do some extended fasts, and I get to really use those as a time dedicated to the Lord. You know, Lord, you fill me right now.
Right.
But in those when I know that I'm approaching a 24-hour fast or something, I was about to do one the other day, and I usually kind of have something that I eat before that really fuels me well. And I was like, gosh, there are these chocolates that I made in my freezer right now. And my husband's really been enjoying them, but I haven't been enjoying them. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let that be the launch for this 24-hour fast.
Yeah.
So, you know, but what I say all of that for is I like to line every calorie up and tell them what to do. I don't want these calories to be dictating what I do. Like, hey, you're going to want to just eat meat. No, it's like, you know what? I know that I've got some room in my diet today where I can add a few extra calories. So I'm like, hey, y'all hop in there and you go to work.
Yeah.
And then I see other calories that I'm like on a plate or that maybe offered me that aren't going to serve me well. It's either going to make me feel uncomfortable, or it's going to make me, you know, wish that I had worked out. And I don't like to eat to work out to eat. I like to experience natural endorphins and be grateful for that. So line every calorie up, tell it what to do, either get off my plate, or you're in there in my body right now, and I want you to be used as energy for me to have a healthy lifestyle moving forward with all the things that I have in front of me.
Right. Which really goes back to your point of like, is what I'm consuming serving me? Right. It's like, if you're managing your calories and telling them whether it's chocolate or, you know, no meat or just protein through like whatever it is, helping our minds to and our bodies to make sure it's serving us. You know what I'm saying? And like you're enjoying it. You're not feeling lethargic or sleepy afterwards. You're energized. It's like, what is the meaning of food almost?
Right. And I think that it's important to eat, drink, and be merry. You know, like God wants us to enjoy all the different things that he's provided for us. But it's, you know, it's just that moderation. And it's not that I have to sit there and now think, oh gosh, you know, well, I guess I can just have this cardboard palate and not really enjoy anything I'm eating. That's not really necessary either. If I have lined up my calories, if I've been mindful about what it is I'm consuming in a day, well, then I can enjoy a beautiful dinner with, you know, French fries on occasion, or potatoes and a good meat, because I've said, well, there weren't a whole lot of carbohydrates I had earlier today. I had some proteins. But again, I look at it more as a holistic approach. I look at my daily intake of food as opposed to try and get a perfect plate 3 meals a day. So,
well, yeah, and you're really pointing something out. Like, I know recently you told me this because I love to eat food and struggle in that area. But one of the things you recently told me was like, Tiara, you don't have to give up French fries fully. Like, you love French fries. You enjoy French fries. instead of buying French fries at Wendy's or McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, go cut you up some potatoes, spray some olive oil and put them in an oven. I remember sending you a photo like, look, and
Yeah.
they were delicious and I didn't feel heavy, you know, afterwards I was able to enjoy it still without feeling like bad
Right.
or, you know what I'm saying? Like I literally enjoyed it, you
Yeah.
know, versus, you know, not knowing where it came from and having to eat it.
Well, and so as we keep thinking about that, and you start to make changes, you know, anybody around you is not going to say a thing when you're making wrong choices, but they're really
Mm.
going to question you, you know, oh, I mean, should you really take that supplement? You know, I mean, and it's like,
Mm.
what, you don't care if I'm eating sugar out the wazoo, but I'm just having a little extra vitamin C here. You
Yeah.
know, people only really are going to question you when you're making good choices because it's making them uncomfortable. And
Mm.
they'll, oh, you're picky now. Anytime I've ever heard that, I just remember thinking, no, I'm not picky, I'm purposeful.
Yeah.
Everything that goes in has purpose to it.
I love
And
that.
so then you want to ask yourself, what experience am I expecting consuming fill in the blank? And a
Okay.
lot of times it's just simply, I'm hungry. And so you have to ask yourself, after I ate fill in the blank, was I
Hmm.
actually satisfied?
Wow.
Or
Hmm.
have I eaten? Maybe I've eaten, but am I fed? There's a lot of
Mhm.
people walking around who have eaten a ton of different things on a daily basis, and their nutritional value of the calories that they consumed has no nutrition, and therefore they're
Hmm.
walking around full but not fed.
My gosh. Wow.
And they may even be full but still be hungry because they're
Mhm.
not satisfied
Right.
by nutrients their body is seeking.
Right.
So I just ate fill in the blank. Am I satisfied or am I wanting more of what I just ate when it was a
Mhm.
perfectly good portion? Maybe my body's craving some nutrients. I'm going to have to go grab some protein. You know, I'm going to
Mhm.
have to go grab an apple. Nobody ever overate apples.
Yeah.
Nobody sat down with that 5-pound bag of organic gala apples that they bought at Sam's and just said, wow, you know, I couldn't stop. It wasn't like a bag of
Right.
chips, right?
Right. Right.
Because you got satisfied.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Yeah. I have nothing
So,
to say.
okay, you're well. Well, so those are questions, you know, what
Those
I'm
are good.
consuming that's serving me, I'm lining up my calories, telling them what to
Mhm.
do. You're purposeful, not picky, and be mindful. What experience am I expecting when I consume fill in the blank? And how was I after I consumed it? Um,
Mhm.
so what would I suggest then? Okay, if you want to start somewhere, just like we talked about, a bag of chips versus a bag of apples,
Right.
what is something that's always going to satisfy? That's going to be whole food, real food, stuff
Okay.
that you find on the perimeter of the grocery store. It's going to
Okay.
be your fruits, vegetables, meats. You can find some great deals on some frozen vegetables too. Just read your labels and make sure that there's not like any soybean oils or anything like that. Like if you look at your frozen broccoli on the back of the bag, you want it to say
Mhm.
broccoli.
Okay.
And you know, when you get home, you want to season these things yourself. So there's
Mhm.
definitely ways to eat
So
affordably.
tell me, just so we know, what is the disadvantages of soy in the diet?
Well, I mean, I was just throwing out a soybean oil. Honestly,
Okay.
soy works for some people.
Okay.
The people in Asia, soy is a part of their diet, and they're some of the healthiest people on the planet, and they all eat white rice too. You know,
Yes.
I wish that well, I would say if there was the perfect diet of eliminate this, don't have that, you know, then there wouldn't be 100,000 different diets on the planet. I think where
Mm.
you live has something to do with the foods that you eat and the way that you
Okay.
process them. I think that your own background, whatever ethnicity you are, has
Right.
something to do with the way you process foods and all that. And that's why it goes back to that holy Nancy. I want you to be wholly you. I want to
Mhm.
do one of those elimination diets to say, all right, I'm going to take out gluten, soy, dairy. I'm going to get rid of grains. I'm going to
Mhm.
get rid of all these things. And I'm going to add them back in one at a time to
Mhm.
find out what serves
Mhm.
me personally.
That's
And that's
good.
where you're being mindful. And I mean, an easy elimination diet recommendation would be like a Whole 30, and you could grab those books and have that fully laid out for you on exactly what to do. But
Okay.
that's the kind of thing where you have to take control, take the reins of your own journey.
Yeah, I
That's my
love
big
that.
encouragement. But real food is always going to be the best. If a manufacturer has to package or put a label on your food marketing to you that it's healthy, gluten-free, keto, low carb, low fat, all natural, sugar-free, whatever it says, it's probably not serving you.
Mm,
You don't need a label on your food to tell you that it's healthy. You basically need food without a label to know that it's healthy.
right. Yeah. That's such a mindset shift because we're such a grab it and go, to your point, culture. But it makes sense that if it's actually health from the ground, or you know what I'm saying, then it's going to be healthy. Now, just a sidebar there. What are your thoughts on organic versus like an organic banana versus a regular banana? Is organic even organic now?
I would definitely say organic is going to be better.
Okay.
And do you want to spend more money on paying for all of your illnesses down the road and medications that aren't going to get you better? Or do you want to spend a little bit more money on some organic things right now? And again, I would Google a simple list of what are the most important organic foods or fruits to buy. For example, I don't buy organic bananas because they have a really thick peel, but I buy organic apples because they can absorb pesticides super easily. So there's certain ways, again, that you can
Yeah.
do this healthy, and you just want to
Okay.
Google a list. What are the top 10 fruits and vegetables that I need to be buying organic?
Okay, great.
And then
Well,
there's some that it just really doesn't even make a difference, like a banana. So
okay. Great. That's great tip. Okay, so then we want to make sure that we're eating real foods, searching the perimeter of the grocery store, and not necessarily looking to labels to make sure that we're identifying what's best, but actually like things without a label, the things that you can peel, things that you can eat at home or cook, so you know what's in it, versus kind of guessing around.
right. And I mean, again, it's like, oh, but Nancy, I just need a quick snack. Great, grab an orange,
Yeah.
grab a banana. Those are easier to get into. You don't even have to open the bag.
Okay. Got it. Love it.
Mhm.
So talk to me a little bit about sugar.
Okay, sugar is the enemy.
Oh,
Sugar is the enemy. Sugar is the main source of all of our chronic diseases.
all
Um,
right, Nancy, I'm ready.
okay, so
Uh,
sugar, I'm not talking natural sugars. Like the fruits or whatever.
Yeah.
But just a lot of times people, there's that whole low fat thing. Well,
Mm-hmm.
fat on your nutrition label does not equal fat on your body.
Okay.
Okay, carbohydrates is where sugars fall under your nutrition label.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got added sugars, which are the enemy, and we've got naturally occurring sugars,
Okay.
which that's just the stuff that God decided, oh, well, this fruit or even vegetable needed this little bit of naturally occurring sugar.
Okay.
And so that's fine. Okay, so now we're talking complex carbohydrates, your white rices, your potatoes, and added sugars, regular sugar, and then we're talking those are your simple carbohydrates, sorry, and then you've got your complex carbohydrates, which are more nutrient dense, like those
Okay.
natural sugars. So I want to avoid at all costs if you're on a weight loss journey, to really kickstart, you've got to train your palate to no longer only be to no longer crave those sugars.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that's a Diet Coke, it still has that sweet hint to it. You want to really start to retrain your palate to desire savory foods, which are going to be
Okay.
more of those meats. That's going to be even salt and pepper. That's fine. But it's just the sugar that goes into your body, and
Okay.
your body gets too much of it. And so you, even though you've consumed a whole bunch of sugars and you think to yourself, oh, well, I feel like I've eaten something now. Well, your body says, no, I've received no nutrients. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm starving. So I'm going to take
Right.
those sugars and I'm going to store them on different places in your body to use later, because
Mm-hmm.
you're starving. It's like
Yeah.
you're back in caveman mode, and you've got to have as much fat on your body as you can to give you the energy and fuel you need for those days that you don't have food. We're
Yeah.
walking around people who are just storing fat, which is storing those sugars to be used as energy later, because you're not getting any nutrients. And so your body thinks you're starving. So anyway, if you eat all of these more nutrient dense foods that are low in sugar, your body immediately takes those calories and burns them as energy and fat, because it says, ooh, this is good nutrition. I can't wait. This is like putting real fuel into a car.
Okay.
You got that
So
diesel fuel.
got it. So give me an example of a couple of nutrient rich foods that you would recommend, like your top 5 maybe.
I feel like nuts are really nutrient dense. You don't need a whole lot of them in order to
Okay.
be full. I feel like a good complex carbohydrate, which is going to be like oatmeal or a brown rice or a sweet potato, those are going to be top. Any berries are full of antioxidants, so they go in and get rid of all those toxins that came with all that nasty sugar you consumed. That's going to be your blueberry, your cherry, your blackberry, strawberry. Any berries are good. So let's see, I've talked about some good complex carbohydrates. We've talked about antioxidant berries, some good fats, which in addition to nuts, maybe just having some olive oil or a coconut oil. Those are really nutrient dense. Even if you're super hungry, a great thing to do is eat a tablespoonful of coconut oil with a little bit of cinnamon in it or something if you want to flavor it. But and then of course I would just say organic meats. Those are going to be your top 5, whether it's a beef, a chicken, a fish. Really, that's just where you kind of can let your preference come in. You just don't want it really fried. You want to stay away from all that extra breading.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's super helpful. And so like what I hear is, go towards the nuts, the berries, the natural fruits, the, organic meats, and then stay away from the sugary, processed foods, things that, have maybe even in a can. It sounds like, if it's in a can.
Some things, in a can, if the only ingredient listed is what it actually has the picture on the can, there's not really much wrong with canned goods either. You just want to make sure that their sodium levels are down.
Got it. So low sodium corn could be.
I wouldn't want to eat too much corn, because that's going to be closer to a simple carbohydrate as opposed to a good complex carbohydrate. There's lots of sugar in your corn, but if that's the worst you're doing, that's okay.
Okay, got it. All right, so we got what to buy. And what about seafood? Like, what are your thoughts on seafood? Good, bad? Where do we land there?
I feel like I know that there's a lot of people who don't want to eat the bottom feeders, but and don't want to eat pork and all that kind of thing. I am a protein eater. My husband is all about some Kamado Joe grill.
Yes, he is.
He keeps me well fed. And so we do shrimp, chicken, beef, pork. We eat all of it, but I have seen how I feel with all of those different proteins and decided, and I even see how maybe if I'm eating more beef, higher fat beefs, then I'm not, I notice, oh, well, let's just go to some ground chicken for this next week or two. Just check your own scale. Be in tune with your body. Or my pants fitting a little bit tighter. Maybe I need to go some leaner meats because I have all these other fats in my diet. Again, you're looking at your whole day. What kind of fats have I taken in today? If it seems like I've had enough, maybe I'm going to go for a leaner meat at night. Okay. So, eggs, you asked me about seafood. Basically, it's one of those things, again, if there's something that, causes an allergic reaction for you, but it doesn't for me, I'm going to consume it, but you can't,
Right. So just in moderation and figuring out what works for your body. It kind of goes back to allow for everything you do, to be having that perspective of being the temple of God, and being able to make sure that you're taking care of that temple and measuring what that looks like, just like we would in an actual building, right?
Right. There's, so my personal favorite type of exercise is CrossFit. I'm a CrossFit level 1 coach as well.
Yes,
And
you are.
I just think it's important for us women, especially, to get some weight bearing exercise as we get older, just to maintain our bone density. But I feel like CrossFit in 100 words is said really well. And so I'm just going to share that with the community. Eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar. Keep intake to levels that will support exercise, but not body fat. Remember, we talked about eating things that are nutrient rich, so our body uses it as fuel instead of stores it for later because it feels unfed.
Okay.
Practice and train major lifts: deadlift, clean, squat, presses, clean and jerk, and snatch. Basically get some weight bearing exercise in there. Similarly, master the basics of gymnastics, which are pull-ups, dips, rope climbs, push-ups, sit-ups, presses to handstand, et cetera, et cetera. It's basically just saying, look, can I do movements that are my own body weight? I need to be able to support my own body weight. Bike, run, swim, row. In other words, get outside, walk with your family, do things off of the couch together. 5 or 6 days per week, mix them up in as many combinations and patterns as creativity will allow. In other words, don't do all of this every day. Pick something every day.
Yeah.
And then routine's the enemy. That's where you don't want to do the same thing every day. Keep workouts short and intense. Don't be in the gym for 2 hours looking at what everybody else is doing. Get in there with a plan, get out. And then he even says regularly learn and play new sports. You know, the idea of this whole CrossFit thing is we're eating good food, and then we've got so much energy, we need to go outside and burn it.
Yeah.
With our family and friends.
I love it. Very balanced. Very balanced. Why, of all the different, I know there's a ton of different ones, what made you choose CrossFit to get certified in?
Yeah, I've done lots of different group fitness classes, which I highly recommend to anybody. I've been the cardio queen, which I don't highly recommend to anybody. We all know how boring that is. And like I just said, as we age, us women do need to have some weight bearing exercise. And that doesn't mean that I need to do lift so much that I'm pulling my back out. But CrossFit kind of is a combination of cardio and weightlifting. And the thing that I love about it is the community that it builds, as well as it's never boring. It is different every single day. So I always look forward. I get a little butterfly in my stomach before every workout because I wonder if I'm going to be able to do it. And and getting older too, I'm not competing as much with anybody around me. I actually work out in silence by myself. That's probably because I'm constantly surrounded by my kids and I don't even need music.
That is awesome. Well, yeah. And so for those who can get to a CrossFit, go ahead. I know, Nancy, you within your own community used to be a coach at a local gym, and now you actually have multiple classes that you coach. And if you guys are looking for additional resources or have a specific question for Nancy, you should definitely follow her on Instagram at Holy Nancy. We put the her information below, right in the comment below. A couple more questions for you, Nancy, as we go into this, because one of the most important things that I know as a mom, working mom, you know, it's just the struggle is real. There's so much on the plate. I think for all of us, what do you recommend for our kids? Like, how do we create a healthy diet and start to build that within our children? What top things do they recommend, or do you think that the diet changes because of their age and stages? Like, talk to us a little bit, to the moms out here, which I know we got a lot of mom listeners, and kind of help guide our perspective as a framework for moving forward with our children.
So I am just going to say the same thing to our kids. And so, yeah, we're all busy moms, working in the home, working outside of the home.
Yes.
But one of my main purposes also is for you to leave a legacy of wholeness, right? And a lot of our kids, I mean, the obesity rates in our kids is just skyrocketed through the years.
Right.
And so it's like, gosh, how can you put another thing on my plate? Well, that's the best part. You're going to do it with your kids.
Okay.
You're going to ask them to be a part of it. Hey, mommy needs you to wash these vegetables. Here, let me teach you how to chop these. Guess what, guys? It's meal prep day. We're all going to do this together.
Love it.
Hey, do you guys know how to crack and, teach them how to fry an egg, teach them how to make scrambled eggs, teach them, hey, when you're making your plate, you see you've got that carbohydrate in your bread and we've got our protein or meat. I just tell my kids all the time, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, make sure that there's a fruit or a vegetable on your plate. And you just have to get them involved. There is no reason any working mother needs to be packing their children's lunch.
Yeah.
Once your kid is kindergarten or older, I started packing my lunch in kindergarten. So it's possible.
Yeah.
We don't ask our kids to help us enough. So
absolutely,
you're going to eat a lot of what mommy's eating. Now they're going to have you don't even have to worry about, are you depriving your child? Because there's class parties, there's sports parties, there's church parties. They get the junk
they get it
everywhere else.
Yeah.
They get it.
Yeah.
They get it. My kids are like, Mom, you don't buy Oreos like everybody else in the planet. And I'm like, you know what? We'll do Oreo Fridays. You can have them once a week. Like, even I know what it was to be a kid.
Right.
I know.
Right.
And we can give them a little more leeway.
Right.
But we need to get them involved in making healthy choices with us.
Right. Yes. I know, for example, for our family, we didn't necessarily eat on a very clean diet growing up. And obviously now that we're older, life starts hitting and the weight doesn't come off as easy as it did when I was in my teens and 20s. And so, or 30s. And so, right. Or 40s. Anyway, I digress. The point is that, with my niece, Tia, when she went off to college, she really started to change the way that she was eating. And even like towards in high school, her and her mom would eat differently. And so they consumed a lot of salmon, trout, they would have that with a vegetable. They would have different types of, they lean more towards, like to your point earlier, of seafood because it made them feel really healthy. And so now my niece, she's drinking kombucha and she's into, different things that we were never exposed to, but how much greater would it have been if she grew up on these things? You know what I'm saying? And her tongue was already trained as a young child to be able to eat those things. Now of course you go and enjoy, like you said, it's Thanksgiving. Have the mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Wear your big girl pants that you just can grow in. Yeah. I mean, it's Thanksgiving. It's okay.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. And but just creating a mindset where I was just telling myself the other day, Tiara, there's no way you're going to get to your goals and you keep going back to the old things. You know what I'm saying? I think it's so much, just as much as it is so much for spiritual first than it is, practical, because it's like you have to be willing to let things go in order to grow. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I tell my kids, it's like, y'all, we are not bringing another thing into the house until we get rid. Let's purge some stuff. Let's give some stuff away. Let's, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing principally when it's like, you know what? Yes, you enjoyed that mac and cheese for all of your little tween 20s life. It's time to move on. You know what I'm saying? You're older and your body needs nutrition. So give it what it needs. And I remember one time you were telling me, even like, I really feel like you just need more nutrition. Like you really need to eat more. And I'm thinking, are you sure? Do you know what you're saying? But you're really saying eat healthy and give your body what it needs. Nourish your body.
Yeah. There's one thing I tell my athletes too. What is it? That actions produce results, not good intentions. And about all these good intentions, you can call them a New Year's resolution, but a resolution is you're resolute. You're going to do it no matter what. People just have New Year's good intentions.
Yeah.
And that's why those good intentions didn't make it to January 3rd.
That
But if
part.
you're resolute about it, you are making active choices, and those actions are going to produce results.
Right.
They're going to.
Yeah.
But here's the best part. What I had a horrible day, Nancy. I was supposed to start, and now it's been 3 weeks and I haven't started. His mercies are new every morning.
Right.
We get a fresh start every day. Guess what? You get a fresh start multiple times a day. With my kids, they're bickering. They're just this, Mom, you're not going to moderate this. You're not going to fix this. You're not going to step in, and sometimes I just look at everybody and I say, let's start over. Let's just start over. We can't even get to the heart of that issue. We can't even find anybody to have a little humility to work through this anyway. And a lot of times when we press that restart button, everybody almost feels a little bit better, like, and that's just the nature of our Lord.
Yeah.
Continuing to allow us to start over. So you made a poor choice, whatever, start over.
I love it. I love it. And, I love that on your psychology of food, one of your scriptures is actually our scripture verse that we kicked off with within my family this year, which is 1 Corinthians 10:31.
Yes. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God.
Absolutely. I love being here with you. And I'm just so grateful because it's really does start with mindset and being able to be wholly you so that we can do the things God's called us to do, and even more, you talk about legacy, how many of us have forfeited our legacy because we've chosen once and twice and again and month after month and a month after month to make a different choice as it pertains to our temples. And so I'm really challenged this year to do better. And I'm so excited that you have been able to share with us. It's been so rich. And so thank you so much for being on the podcast. Any last words or thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
I just don't want anybody to feel any shame. I think that a lot of times we're in the position that we are because we just didn't have enough information. And we saw somebody sell their birthright in the Bible because they were hungry. Esau and Jacob, somebody's so hungry that they have to sell their whole birthright for a pot of stew because it smelled good. Like, there's no shame. We get to take whatever we have and we get to move forward. And I just want everybody to walk in freedom. And I want everybody to know that who God has created them to be is fearfully and wonderfully made. And he just wants to be glorified through their actions moving forward.
Yeah, so well said. Well, guys, thanks so much for participating in this podcast. Be encouraged. Don't walk in shame, as Nancy said. Take that next step. And, it's a meal by meal, journey by journey decision that we make to be able to change our mind so we can change our actions. And so be renewed in your mind. And if you like more information on Nancy, if you have a question for Nancy, feel free to go to our website at Kingdom in Culture, the letter N, that is, inculture.com. And you can also follow us on all of our socials. And until next time, we will see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.